Hey, Mim.
Hey, Scarlett.
Welcome back, guys. You're listening to StyleOverSubstance.
We're just two friends talking about our experiences working inside the fashion industry and also our observations from outside the fashion industry. It's sometimes serious, but it's definitely always a good laugh.
Always. We release new episodes every Tuesday.
So subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platforms.
Love is blind.
Yeah, so I'm up to date now.
Yeah.
I think it's just one more episode or a couple more episodes to be released on Friday. Is that it?
One. I was devastated. So I hadn't known that there was only two episodes left after the last burst of 4. And so Friday hit, turned off my laptop at 4:30, and I was like, oh my God, I can now binge watch for a few hours Love is Blind. This is great. It was one episode. I mean, it didn't need to be longer, but I wanted the full out. I wanted it all. But
I was expecting each wedding to be a separate episode.
Yeah, that has been I think, wasn't it more like that last time?
Well,
I feel like there was a lot of coming and going in last time. Are we going to give spoilers? Should we give a little spoiler warning?
No. Listen, guys, you need to just keep up.
Well, we're talking about it, so yeah. But yeah, maybe it was also because just not many weddings happened, you know.
Oh, okay, so the person who got married, because there were 2 weddings that actually happened.
The first one should not have happened.
Never have happened. Should have never happened.
He was sweating like an absolute.
I thought he was going to say no. No
Me
one
too.
sweats that much.
Yeah, it wasn't direct sunlight, but
that's no. So you only sweat that much if you're nervous about admitting or saying what you need to say and being honest. Like, I genuinely thought he was going up there and was nervous to embarrass her on the at the altar. He was sweating so much, and I thought, my God, please don't hold her hand. Your hand is probably soaking.
It was like he sweat through his jacket. Did you see when he
the patch on the back?
Off? Oh,
yeah. I was wondering. I was like, "There's a wet patch there. How did that happen?" She is in no position to get married.
No, and you know what? It's a difficult one because I've seen actually, you don't have to be the most mentally stable person to be able to get married, but I think that she is quite hard on him, and they haven't learned to argue, or if they are compatible with the way they argue.
Yeah,
I think that's more the problem. But yeah, I don't have high hopes for them lasting.
No, I think that you don't have to. I've never been married, so I'm completely talking out my ass right now. But I suspect that you don't have to be 100% amazing, well-rounded, well-grounded, confident person to enter a marriage. However, your toxic traits cannot, it will be the reason, her toxic traits will be the reason why their marriage doesn't work, because she is constantly undermining what they have, and questioning it and sabotaging it, quite frankly, and for no reason. And also, another thing they do that really annoys me is they have these arguments, they never really get resolved, the issues don't get resolved, and then the next week when they're happy and they're in love with each other, they say, I never doubted our love. I never doubted it for 1 second. I knew I wanted to marry you. An argument, and then they're like, oh, I'm just not sure, I'm not, and then I never it's like, stop lying to yourselves, guys.
Yeah, I really thought it was quite honorable how many of them didn't go ahead, because I think it spoke volumes of
deep tea.
I mean, first of all, we'll get there.
Okay.
But I think it's I have a real thing as a single, I don't even know if I'm ready to mingle, a solo person in this world. I feel like a lot of worth is put on people being in relationships. The amount of times that people are like, oh, how come you don't have someone? It's I don't know. Like, I don't know. And I think like the goal is to find someone. And don't get me wrong, like I want certain things in my life, and that includes having somebody else. But that's not the only, like, my life shouldn't feel lesser because of that. And so I think it was really great that these people had obviously gone on this show, a bit of like a last resort, or like, my love life hasn't worked out thus far, I'll give this a go, but weren't desperate enough to be like, anything will do.
Yeah.
I think that was great, especially like Deep T, which was like, I choose myself. And I was like, yes, you do.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that she made I'm so glad she made the decision that she did, because throughout the season, listening to Shake and the things he was saying on camera about her, when she genuinely seems like she deserves nothing but the best. She seems like a lovely woman. Like, there's obviously, I don't know her, but she seems like a genuine person.
Yeah.
And to hear the things he was saying about her throughout this series, I thought, oh my God, they're going to get married. And then
she's going to see it.
And then she's going to witness all of this and see all of this. And I was shocked that she didn't choose to marry him, because I actually thought, despite Shake's shortcomings and his, just all the issues that he has with marrying an Indian woman and all of that, I thought, because their parents, both of them, were so welcoming of each other.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? If there's a marriage that's going to work, it's going to be them, because they have so much support.
Yeah.
I think they are actually quite good for each other, but Shake fucked it up, really and truly. And I'm so glad that she saw Shake for who he was and what he was thinking internally and what he was feeling about the whole thing before she got married to him. And I was, because
I think she also would have taken that marriage really seriously and not left it, unless she could have avoided it. But I think his reaction to not getting married
said it all.
Like the little, I'm going to Navy next week, and like all this stuff. I was like, that is why she didn't marry you.
Yeah.
And like, granted, that's him like behaving that way because he's masking his emotion there.
Yeah.
But there's a time and a place.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just really glad because I know I can recover from this.
Yeah. And he's like, basically he was saying, like, typically this would be an occasion where you'd feel really sad, but I'm actually glad that it happened this way.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what he was saying. And also the fact, we are so not talking about fashion right now, but whatever. The fact that he never actually, or we didn't get to see him approach Deep T and just do like a little debrief with her and kind of see how she's doing, try and get an explanation as to why she made the decision that she did. I mean, when we take Natalie and Shane, at least Shane kind of,
he's got like ADHD or something.
Well, Mr. Big thinks he like snorts.
Well, he looks like that for sure, but if he doesn't, he's got, because he can't handle.
Oh yeah, he's got like tics or something.
Yeah.
I think he was having a real moment, like a real breakdown.
He couldn't communicate how he felt, and he was.
I will say, fashion wise, Natalie's dress looked great on her.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to know the girl's name. They're the two that the kind of nothing one. The guy that plays the ukulele.
Oh, I want to say Mallorca, but it's not Mallorca. It's Mallory.
She looked beautiful in that dress.
Mm-hmm.
And who else? I mean, I thought Deep T's dress was really beautiful.
Mr. Big thinks Ayana's dress looked like a curtain. He was not a fan. Ayana.
What with Jarrett? Jarrett?
Yeah.
Or Jarrett? You spell it Jarrett.
Yeah, it's Jarrett, but they don't realise that an E-double-T-E is like a female.
Yeah, I thought her dress could have been better, but she's just a beautiful girl, so she just looked great anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then the other girl's dress was fine. I'm not the biggest fan of her, if I'm honest.
Oh no, she just grinds my gears. What's her name? I can't remember either one of their names right now.
No, neither.
It's not Rachel. Oh yeah. Well,
everyone knows who we're talking about.
Yeah, we don't need to remember them.
But anyway, if people aren't here for our Love is Blind recap. What's your fashion story?
Well, my fashion story is about the future of Off-White, the brand, in the wake of Virgil Abloh's death. So when he passed last month before, it's March now, so in January, and he passed, and obviously shortly after his passing, they had a Louis Vuitton men's show that he designed previous to passing away, obviously. And they were just like, we had brief discussions about what are we going to see from Off-White moving forward. We had an episode about creative directors and their significance and their role in a brand. And Off-White is obviously Virgil Abloh. That's his, he's like the founder of that brand. And although he was men's designer of Louis Vuitton, that's a small part of Louis Vuitton's history. Like he wasn't.
And Louis Vuitton would go on, will go on regardless. And I feel like his death was a bit untimely, right? I know he wasn't well.
Yeah.
But I wonder if he had prepared the brand for his exit. Off-White.
Yeah. So
because I would want to leave behind almost like a little instruction manual. If I had created a brand and it was doing quite well, I would sort of have these are my company values in terms of aesthetic, whoever takes over me, this is my inspiration. And I wonder if he had the time to do that, or if people will respect, there's not enough history almost for people to respect it.
Yeah. So there's an article on Business of Fashion. It's really interesting if you want to read the whole thing. And the Louis Vuitton chief, what's his name? Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name right now. Something Burke. And he actually says that although he was aware of Virgil Abloh's cancer from the very beginning, it was being managed, and they were actually fairly positive about the outcome, suggesting that they thought he would recover and be able to continue designing for the brand. And he says that his death actually took them by surprise. It was a sudden death. It wasn't what they were expecting. So in that, I don't think that there was a plan B or a strategy to move forward with Louis Vuitton or Off-White without him. Having said that, this article does kind of touch on how he left behind for Off-White. He left behind a lot of designs and a lot of work that could easily be released as a continuation of him as a designer and the founder and whatnot. So I think, which doesn't really surprise me, because we've talked about him being a jack of all trades and really creating for the love of creating. And I think that speaks volumes, the fact that he's left behind a lot of work, enough to release more collections in the future, is well, of course, isn't that such a blessing for that to happen for the brand?
Yeah. And also I wonder, a lot of musicians, right, when they're making an album, they don't just record those 12 to 17 tracks.
Yeah.
There is I think that the
discography.
I can't even of Michael Jackson. I don't know if his name is blasphemy these days. It's huge. And I think, if he's worked with Kanye, I wouldn't mind betting Kanye has so many unreleased tracks.
Yeah.
And so And also, like, fashion designers do whittle things down, but I wonder if he's kind of got this. I bet he's kind of got used to have such creative juices that then you just have to like whittle it down to a collection or something.
Yeah, so like all the other things that didn't make the cut are still amazing in their own right. It's not that they weren't good enough. It's just that you just have to edit yourself down, don't you? But yeah, it also talks about how Off-White's next chapter is going to be starting this year at Paris Fashion Week. And it's what is described as this like couture, like high fashion.
Wow.
So maybe they're going to move more into high fashion as opposed to staying.
Maybe that's where they were going already.
Maybe. And I think that makes sense because when you're creative director for menswear at Louis Vuitton, of course you're going to bring in that like that kind of sentiment into your own brand. It's going to be like more elevated. Does that
because the whole point, right, is it teaches you something too. It's a great job, but you learn something from it and you can take that with you into your own stuff.
Yeah. And then there was also mention of a tease into the beauty sphere. Now, I don't know how I feel about that. There's so many beauty brands out there, but it's a no-brainer for a brand this popular and this high because beauty makes money, doesn't it?
Makes good
money. And
if
you're going to like move more into high fashion, the prices are going to go up, quite frankly. And that base, your fan base who like bought into the t-shirts and the trainers and all of that like lower price point stuff, probably going to get priced out a bit more. And so beauty is like, you know, where you'll get your Off-White fix, but also on the decision of will they appoint a new creative director or will they just keep churning out, you know, as much as possible for as long as possible, Virgil Abloh's own designs. They have floated around the idea of this collective. So maybe people who like worked with Virgil Abloh, friends of his, people in the industry who will like come and do these inspired collections. I'm not sure, but I think that would be a cool idea, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw like pictures of Gigi Hadid shooting their latest campaign. And I wonder if that is still a Virgil campaign.
Yeah. She used to walk in the shows, didn't she? So,
yeah, I think she was like was friendly with him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
crazy. So what is your fashion story?
So I have a few sort of like small ones. The first is sort of that fashion weeks have kind of been happening, like Paris and Milan and New York. And it's actually really nice. Haven't seen loads of people that I follow, but it's just nice to see it all again on sort of my feed.
Yeah.
And it's nice to get that sort of normality post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Shows back and that idyllic thing of someone going to Paris and be like, oh my God, Paris. Like it's those little nice things that come with it.
Dreamy, I suppose.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, maybe I'll go there soon. Like it's all that stuff. It's just nice to see. And then award season is starting. And again, like it's great to see dresses and all of that going on. And dark designers just showing off and all of that. But I know I mentioned him last week, but Tom Daley is becoming a fashion icon.
Really?
I just really love. I think I screenshot them to show you, and we can post them. Let me find them. But he is just like he's found his inner confidence, or I don't know if he was hiding it, or I just wasn't seeing it. I'm not like his biggest fan, by the way.
Yeah, you come off like you really follow him online.
I follow him, but I guess I'm probably engaging with it a bit more because he's being a bit funky. Oh.
I will say that after last week, your last fashion story regarding Tom Daley and then Francis Bourgeois being in the picture, like
he's got jeans that have like flames.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he's got this like all love heart.
Oh.
Like, I think it's that's my nephew. I think it's like a Christian Louboutin look. Or well, he wears Christian Louboutin shoes, but he's like, I don't know, I just think he's like serving some looks. I appreciate it.
He's stepping out of his comfort zone.
But like, that's so much fun.
Yeah, it's like a crop tank top with a zip out. Yeah. It's like he's out clubbing and having a good time and enjoying the new phase of his life, I suppose.
Oh my gosh. So with you mentioning Francis Bourgeois, he was invited to Milan to watch the Gucci show.
I think he has a stylist, because when I was about to say
Gucci styled him. He literally made a TikTok of him going to the store and them giving him an outfit.
Oh, hold on. This was the TikTok you sent to me, but I haven't seen it because my phone died. But
so he like arrives to the store on a scooter with his little GoPro on, and then he goes and picks out an outfit, shows like a few options, and then just like scoots off in Milan.
He wore the GoPro.
Not in the store.
No. I meant like he had no shame. He just walked up on his little scooter with his GoPro.
Yeah.
In his face.
I love him. I think he's great. Yeah.
That's cute. It's fun. I like it.
So those are my little pockets of fashion.
Good stuff. This episode's poll for this week.
What
brand are you going to be
using? Yeah. What brand would you want to be a muse for?
Yeah.
I wonder what people's most popular answer would be.
You know, it would be quite cool maybe being at Nike and you just like, because you know Nike, they design a shit ton of trainers.
Yeah.
And most of the ones they design, which are like...
Is this because you want lots of trainers?
I don't even have that many trainers, but they have some really like cool designs that I think would... Being the muse would open you up to like this whole other world.
Of
footwear. It has to be like Christian Louboutin, because you know how Dita Von Teese is like best friends with Christian. She has like this wardrobe full of his shoes, and he makes the shoes for her tours and stuff. He makes like custom made shoes for her.
That's got to be the ultimate blessing, right? When someone does your tour outfits or something like that. Yeah.
Bedazzled everything. Yeah. So there you go.
There you go. So yeah, who would you like to be a muse for?
Who?
Like which brand?
No. Oh, that's a poll. Yeah, sorry. I thought that was another question.
We interrupt this broadcast to say, go follow us on Instagram. Our handle is @StyleOverSubstance pod. There you'll find our weekly fashion topics, all the stuff that we discuss in each episode, and our polls.
Or reach out to us at StyleOverSubstancePodcast@gmail.com for new suggestions of topic discussions, or even to share your own fashion stories. We also have a YouTube channel, Style Over Substance Podcast, if you'd rather listen to our episodes over there.
Back to the episode.
Well, this week, we are talking about fashion muses, ultimate fashion icons, the You know, those people who are either models or not, who these artists draw inspiration on in a fashion sense.
The people who inspire Uncut Gems.
Okay. You know what? Before we continue, Julia Fox, when I saw that, I was like, okay, I want to know what she's talking about. And Uncut Gems is the film. I thought it was some like album or something.
I assumed it was a song.
Same. I was like, oh, okay, that's quite indie. But it's a film that I watched. I think it was on Amazon Prime. I liked it. It had Adam Sandler in it. It was cool. But I don't know how she was the muse. She was just an actress in the film. I don't know how she was a muse. I need her to explain that to me.
Well, when I've been researching muses, that is a topic that I kind of came across, is that people use that word a bit willy-nilly, just because you're, so like one person's thing was, just because you are the ambassador of a brand or the face of a brand does not mean you are the designer's muse. Just because you are in their show or they like you does not necessarily mean you're their muse.
Exactly. So what is a muse to you?
So I've got like a thing here. So it originates from Greek mythology, and muses were the inspirational goddesses of literature, science, and the arts. And so basically in modern world, they are the source of artistic inspiration. And I think that's true. I think a muse is somebody who inspires somebody.
Yeah.
In like a much larger sense. I don't know if you've ever heard the terminology of like the girl. So designers or a brand would have a girl, as in, who's the girl you're designing for?
Yeah.
Who's our girl? And it's a quote unquote mythological person, essentially, of like, who is she? Where does she shop? What does she do for a living? And you kind of create this person in your head. But I would say if there's someone who fits that box, then that is the muse.
Yeah. Someone who embodies the brand in a sense, or like the aspiration of that brand.
Not just someone that you love, or like it's someone who like creatively you want to dress them, but it's more than that. I think it's bigger than just like, oh my God, you're so fabulous, I want to dress you.
That's the thing. I think the reason why the word probably gets bandied about willy-nilly is because it has an air of mystique and like high culture. Like, you're a muse, it almost sounds like you're mysterious, but you know a lot about the arts, and you're like well educated, and you're like sophisticated. You might not be any of these things, but the term muse is so like steeped in quote unquote high culture that people want to be. I mean, I'd love to be someone's muse, a designer's muse. It just sounds cool. Like, put it on my tombstone. You know, it does. It sounds great, to be honest. So I can understand why people want to jump on that, like Julia Fox.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's been, like, in history, there's been lots of iconic muses in fashion for one reason or another. A lot of the most famous ones have been women who have kind of joined forces with the creative director, or they have inspired a particular like bag model, or like a famous bag that either it was created and it was named after them, like the Lady Dior or something, or the bag was made at the request of their muse, or it was to gift to this muse, like the Birkin with Jane Birkin. And there are some like lesser known ones. I'm researching for this topic. There was one in particular that really stood out to me.
What's that?
Okay, we'll start with this. And this is Foxy Brown, was John Galliano's muse.
I was like, I don't think I've ever picked up 2000.
Genius. And you know what it is? It made sense to me because, you know, in the past few years where we've seen like a lot of revival, like 90s and early 2000s revival stuff. And obviously things like the saddlebag was probably John Galliano's, like one of his most famous bags that he designed. That era would have been like the Foxy Brown Muse era. And there's a lot of like bikinis out there, those Dior bikinis that you think, are they counterfeit? Are they real? Did this really happen? Did this really happen in Dior history? And when I saw that Foxy Brown was, you know, inspired this whole collection, I thought, well, there you have it. Like it made sense. And it was like, I think that period, or those pieces where it's like heavy on the Dior monogram, and some of the bags had like red, gold and green like colouring to it.
Red, gold and green.
It was like, it really did, it embodied like the overly glamorous hip-hop kind of style that Foxy Brown is about.
I
love that one.
There's so many of them that I didn't really know of, maybe because they predated, or I never really realized, like you said, sort of, I probably didn't realize at the time that stuff was real Dior. Because the 90s were the height of counterfeit. Like everyone walked around with like faux Burberry scarves, faux Chanel earrings. Like it was just sort of fake fantastic. So it probably never registered that was real Dior stuff.
Yeah.
But you're right. It makes total sense, to be honest. I mean, so I was reading up about Karl Lagerfeld, and he claims he's only ever had one true muse.
And who was that?
And that was his partner, Jacques de Bascher. Probably said that wrong.
Yeah, great.
Or Basker. And he died when he was only like in his late 30s. I think it was in 1989. And so, like that's who Karl Lagerfeld claims was his muse. But that's then maybe an example. And I would say hopefully Karl Lagerfeld didn't use the word muse lightly, because if you're saying I've only ever had one, a muse doesn't have to be somebody that you address. It might just be that person who, because they're in your life, you feel more creatively inspired, whatever. I mean, it's always been, he's always seemed to have muses, like recently with Kristen Stewart. There's been, is it Johnny Depp's daughter?
Yes.
Like Lily, is her name Lily? No.
I think Lily Rose.
Lily Rose. So like and then it was at one point, who was it? Was Kaya Gerber one? Like, I don't know. He has the like the people that he wants to walk out with, or he has the people that he wants to be seen with.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But that's, I think, where the word gets misplaced.
I think that's where a lot of people see brand ambassador. Oh, there's this model who's in all the campaigns. She's in the beauty ads. She's in the couture show. She's on the runway, blah, blah, blah. And they think, oh, the designer adores her.
No, that person's their marketing tool.
And it's like, maybe, but I doubt it. They're just a really beautiful person. And so I can see how that happens. But should we go through some of the iconic muses and see what your thoughts are? Okay, so we've talked about Foxy Brown, obviously. Another iconic one, which will be kind of no surprise to anyone, and it's supposedly Jean-Paul Gaultier and Madonna. Madonna was Jean-Paul Gaultier's muse, which makes sense because there was a whole era of where, you know, the most famous Madonna outfit, I think it was for Blonde Ambition, and she had the cone bra, and it was like in this pink satin. Jean-Paul Gaultier is known for corsetry and like boning and all of that sort of aesthetic that Madonna was touting at the time as well. So yeah, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like, I mean, I think she's almost still trying to be his muse. But yeah, no, definitely. I think his corsetry, and it's very distinctive, and it's that sort of like the way that cone bra corset is made is so in his signature style of he likes to use a lot of panels to really make it detailed. It's not just sort of like front, back, or like left, right, cup. It's lots of little pieces, and it's really well done. And so yeah, like it's instantly recognizable that that's who she's wearing. And then vice versa, you look at stuff that he's done and it looks Madonna-esque. So that's kind of how a muse relationship works, is that they're reminiscent of the other.
Yeah. The point that you made about how she's still trying to, I don't know.
She's trying to have her clothes off half of the time, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, if someone treats you like their muse and really hypes you up, and they're at the, you know, the pinnacle of their career, there's a part of you that's always going to be like, well, I'm the one who really knows him. I know what he would have liked. I know his style. And you're going to feel a bit of like ownership over the brand, because you're like, I am the brand. The brand is me.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's probably a lot of ego involved in it. Like, for sure, my head would get big if I was somebody's muse and I knew it, and it was, and the world knew it. You'd be fighting to hold on to that.
Yeah.
For as long as you could, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. One that probably doesn't surprise any of us, just because this particular actress was, I mean, she was a global icon, and that was Hubert de Givenchy and Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
Breakfast at Tiffany's, of course.
So he designed the little black dress, which is then become the most of iconic dress, and like, oh, just wear a little black dress. Everyone has to have the perfect little black dress. But they worked together, so she obviously did that relatively young. They stayed in collaboration for quite a long time, which is amazing that they sort of had a really lovely relationship. I think she even said like a really beautiful quote about how she feels the most herself in his clothes.
Well, I'd be saying that as well.
Yeah.
If I was donned out in Givenchy dresses.
Yeah.
Another one, if you like Cher and you like kind of late 70s, 80s glamour, it is obviously Cher was Bob Mackie's muse. And if you know anything about Bob Mackie, it was like glitz, feather, sequins, rhinestones, illusion mesh. You know how everyone goes on these red carpets and they wear these like, it looks like they're naked, but they're like carefully placed flowers and stuff. That's like a lot of what Cher wore.
I feel like that's what she's wearing again.
Oh, well, because
again,
this is the thing. If you feel like you invented it,
she thinks she's probably like the owner of that look. And also there's people like Kim Kardashian. Kim went through a real phase of really celebrating Cher, and that, who was it that Kim dressed as for like Halloween?
It was
her name maybe like
Cher.
Selena?
Oh, yes.
The singer.
Yeah.
Who had a quite a similar, like the long hair vibe, very similar, sort of wears the cat suits with the flared trousers, very similar to Cher.
Mm-hmm.
And she went through a real moment, and that really, I think, like reinvented that sort of era for a lot of people who'd maybe forgotten.
Mm-hmm. Also, RuPaul's Drag Race, there is always praise for Bob Mackie.
Yes.
Because, I mean, who doesn't enjoy, like, I mean, at this point in Cher's career, she had the flattest stomach in the world. And she could pull off these, like...
She had she pulled off so many looks.
Yeah. Like, I mean, she was, like, pretty much naked. But, I mean, like, stunning work. And it's their showpieces, you know? They're not... Bob Mackie's not about being, like, the girl next door.
Yeah.
It's, like, glamour in all its glory.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Cher.
I love her. Do you have any others, or do you want me to keep going?
I reckon you keep going.
And then you tell me what you think. We have a little bit of brotherly sister love. do you know
Versace.
Yeah. Of course. Gianni Versace used to dress his sister Donatella. And one of his most famous dresses was debuted by his sister. It included a lot of, like, straps. It was black leather, of course. It was gold hardware, Medusa's involved. But it had, like, a lot of straps and kind of, like, buckle elements, and she debuted it. And that's quite a famous piece that she's kind of stepped out in. Bearing in mind, this was, like, the early 90s. And yeah, she's since gone on to take over the family business and design things in a way that only she would understand what Gianni would want, I suppose, or at least that is how it's touted to us as the general population.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think actually, because it's such a family business, the fact that she probably has lived and breathed that aesthetic, because it's quite a gaudy aesthetic. So if there is somebody that you can, like, I think that would be a kind of brand, a bit like even with Bob Mackie and with Jean-Paul Gaultier. I think almost the more exuberant and the more sort of out there your designs are, the more of a need for a muse. You know, like Givenchy, their dresses were always going to be beautiful with or without Audrey Hepburn, you know. But I think if you've got quite a specific style in mind, I think that's when it must be really helpful to have a muse, especially if that's then your sister who knows exactly what that, like, the brand is, and that's sort of what she's been inspired by from her early years.
Yeah, I agree. I think a beautiful dress can be quite generic, and you can see lots of women in it, and you can claim that any woman can be part of the brand and part of the vision. But yeah, you're right. Versace, it's an Italian brand, but it's not like a classic Italian brand, like a suave Italian man, you know. It is, as you said, it's gaudy, and it's I think that only she would be able to continue making stuff that, you know, Gianni was doing. We also have some more. We have to talk about Jean-Louis Dumas, who was the chairman of Hermès at the time, and Jane Birkin. Yeah.
So, I mean, not many people. I mean, Jane Birkin is less of a household name than maybe the Birkin bag is these days.
Yeah, it's true.
But he had that with the Kelly as well.
Yeah.
Essentially. That naming, well, two of the most famous bags in the entire world after famous actresses. But wasn't it that Jane Birkin, he wanted her to have it?
So the kind of like myth or the story is that they met on a flight during the 80s.
Yeah.
And they were discussing bags and whatnot. And she basically said that she can't find a bag that suits her needs. That's like, she can carry everything in her bag, but it's like a bit of a workhorse bag or whatever. And they sat together on this flight, reimagining her ideal bag. And then so he kind of designed it in her image to what she wanted. And so it was a collaboration from the very beginning in that sense. You know, she inspired the creation of this bag. And yeah, so that's how it became named after her. Yeah.
And I've also just read that they collaborated on the Kelly.
Oh.
The two soon collaborated, making a bag that was bigger than the famous Kelly. I was about to be like, what?
I was going to say, I thought it was,
he didn't deviate too far from the Kelly. But still, that's amazing that all these years later, it's still one of the most covetable things, and like has wait lists, and she's not maybe relevant yet to our popular culture anymore. But that bag will be indefinitely.
But yeah, I think I might be wrong, but I think the reason why this bag is so popular, going back to the idea of like quote unquote high culture, is that for most people a few years ago, let's say 10 years ago, whatever, most people probably didn't really know about the Hermes Birkin. Like you probably tell them and they probably don't know what you're talking about. And it was only those in the know who shopped in Hermes or who had friends who did, or, you know, it was like that thing to have. It's quite understated as a bag. And that's why a lot of people don't even rate the bag that much, because it's not really flashy. So it's like, if you know, you know, you have to be like part of the in crowd to appreciate it. And so it was probably seen as like quote unquote old money, like, you know.
Oh, for sure. I think you're describing what Bottega used to be like before they had their moment. That was kind of what Hermes, these bags used to be like.
Yeah. So now it's wildly popular and famous and whatnot, but yeah, it's always been there as an iconic piece for the brand. It's just that now us like paupers are in the know as well.
Yeah. Well, because it's been in loads of songs, right? So it's been in rap songs. I think it's been in pop songs. It's been on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I think it featured in Sex and the City. So it's come out in our popular culture. But yeah, for a while it was very much more of those who knew. And if you saw one, you're like, I know. That lady's got taste, or she's on a special list somewhere.
Yeah. We've got another one. And this is Nicolas Ghesquier, who's the Louis Vuitton women's creative director, and Charlotte Gainsbourg. Now, this is one I don't understand, and I'll explain. So Charlotte Gainsbourg, she's this French actress, and she's actually the daughter of Jane Birkin. So, you know, she's got an in. You know, when your mum's iconic, then things work out for you.
Yeah.
And people are going to start looking at you as like fashion royalty in itself. Now, in my opinion, I don't get the obsession with Charlotte Gainsbourg. And she's very much positioned as like the quintessential French woman. If you ever see like a lot of billboard like posters for like typical French brands and stuff, she's got that look that is very much promoted in France. So that's the impression that I've always gotten. Kind of like
it reminds me of, what was her name, who was married to the French like president?
Oh, Sarkozy, she was married to.
She sort of reminds me.
Oh no, but she's better looking.
Yeah, but like it's that look, right? It's that sort of.
Yes. I need to find out what her name is. Sarkozy's wife. Oh my gosh. Anyway, while I look for that.
Does her surname begin with a B?
I can't remember.
She's a model.
Bruni. Carla Bruni. Carla Bruni. Yeah, she's gorgeous though. So yeah, I don't understand.
You know what? If you hadn't said she was Jane Birkin's daughter, I don't know who she is. So
she's an actress.
Yeah.
And a full-time muse. She's modeled for other brands. Is she? Well. Yeah. And yeah, anyway, he has supposedly drawn a lot of inspiration from her. Oh, to be a socialite.
Yeah. Exactly that.
Mm.
I'm probably hoping because of the connections that sort of means something, or maybe she grew up around it with her mum being in sort of that sphere, who knows? But
yeah, but Nicolas Ghesquière, he's quite young.
Yeah.
He's not, from her mum's era.
I mean, one that I read about was Marc Jacobs and Sofia Coppola, I think. Mm-hmm. I've been a big fan of Marc Jacobs. I don't even recognize her. So I guess that's kind of like our point on Muses is I had no clue, and they've had a friendship for sort of nearly 10 years. No, sorry, more. Nearly 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she directed like the Daisy fragrance campaign and all this stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, I wouldn't recognize her. And yeah, she's somehow his muse.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, as you were making your point that a muse isn't a brand ambassador, you're not necessarily featured in all the campaigns. You're probably in the, the studio with the designer. You probably model the clothes in the first fittings for them.
Yeah.
Or you come and they show you the collection with like excitement, and you kind of go through it with them and say, oh, I would see myself wearing that and that and that. I really like that. I don't like that one so much. And you bounce ideas off each other. And that's probably the nature of their relationship. Is this mutual appreciation for what each other are doing, as opposed to not everyone needs to be on the front line in the spotlight
to be a muse.
Yeah.
That's actually what struck me researching this, is actually so many of the people weren't hugely known or that relevant to designers who are still quite relevant. Which so folks out there, stop confusing it with a brand ambassador. Uncut Jams.
But yeah, that's pretty much on muse examples. I don't know.
Who would be your muse?
Oh God. Who would be my muse? I have no idea.
I don't think I know. I mean, I can think of people I like, but they're not my muse, or wouldn't be.
But I'm also not a designer, so I don't know what. I think I need to have an idea of what I want my collection to be about.
I think it would be quite easy just to pick a relevant or young, beautiful actress or model, but it's probably more interesting for it to be someone a bit unknown.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to reinvent themselves or anything like that. And you just are either really inspired by their style generally, or whatever they just bring to the table.
Yeah. I definitely think, well, I'd like to think that I would choose someone who's not super young.
Yeah.
I think a muse for me would require the person to have a sense of personal style, a level of confidence. You'd like to think they'd be well traveled and you learn from them in a sense, in some way or another.
Yeah.
And so that comes with age, doesn't it? Someone who's not led by trends. And that's kind of hard to find when you do go for really young models as your muse. I know that for Pier Paolo, who designs for Valentino, he works really closely with one of the models, Aduta Ket. She's like quite a famous model at the moment, but she's really young. She's like in her early 20s, and I like adore her as a model. But I guess that she's his muse because she has like the stature. She's very like graceful and well poised, and those sorts of big Valentino gowns probably just hang like amazing on her. She's his mannequin, rather than like they have these long, deep chats about, I don't know, life. And from that, he comes up with collections and whatnot. So
yeah, I think you're right. I think I'd be quite similar, that it'd be somebody who's got some stories to tell, and they just you're catching up and they just suddenly delve into a story of when they were in Tuscany in the 80s, and you sort of like, oh my god, my collection could be on Tuscany in the 80s. Like, it's that kind of a thing.
That's why Cher would be such a good muse, because you know she's got so many stories to tell, and she has this like unwavering confidence, and
she takes fashion risks. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, Cher.
Now, if you don't know who your muse would be, which brand would you like to be a muse for?
I mean, Chanel.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That was a no-brainer, wasn't it?
Even though I don't know if that means much, because Chanel has already a blueprint, right? I mean, a lot of brands do.
But you could help to like pivot them in a new direction. You know, Carl's gone.
I would actually say I could already see it. I think he's made it a bit funkier. So I definitely have the sort of dress really girly at times, but then I have sort of edge, like harden something or edge it up, or a bit more like punky. So I could see it, you know. I could
see it for you.
I can really see it. And maybe that's how I get my bag. So I can really see it.
Yes. What was I watching the other day? And it was that's it, on YouTube. It wasn't the other day, it was like last year. There is this fashion YouTuber, and he's called like Loic P. I can't remember his surname, but I don't know if he's a fashion photographer or whatever, but he seems to be really well connected in the fashion industry. And he gets these exclusive kind of interviews or insights into the preparation before shows, or talking to these designers. It's like a whole nother world that he gets exposed to, and he films and documents all. Anyway, he was at Chanel, and he met up with one of she wasn't a muse, but she was like the in-studio model. So she's appointed to like go in every day and try on the garments, and things are fitted on her.
The fit model.
Exactly. And so, because she worked as like not a full-time employee, but she was there day in, day out, she was given all these bags as well. And at her like little studio apartment, she had like this coat rack just hanging off it, all these like different Chanel bags in different colors and all of this stuff. And
what?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to go on a diet and become the Chanel fit model.
And you're probably too old for it as well.
Thanks, Mim. That's so kind of you.
Yeah.
Who would you like to be a muse for?
Ooh.
I wonder if actually the ultimate pleasure is a non-established brand to help be that pivotal person in a brand's journey.
Yeah.
It's like in 20 years, this brand is a household name and you were their initial muse would be a real honor. I mean, if they do nothing, less of an honor, but
yeah, still you're part of its history, aren't you?
Yeah.
Scarparelli.
Do you think?
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, I mean, is it stuff I could wear to like the supermarket? Not at all, but it's bold, it's fun, it's like dark, mysterious, but a bit like it's surrealism, isn't it? And I think it would just be dress up in the studio, wouldn't it? And also they make really big earrings and I love really big earrings, so
and also I guess the thing is you don't have to wear it day to day, but it has to be what you feel most alive in.
And on that note, what's this episode's poll for this week?
Of
what brand are you going to be
using? Yeah. What brand would you want to be a muse for?
Yeah.
I wonder what people's most popular answer would be.
You know, it would be quite cool maybe being at Nike and you just like, because you know Nike, they design a shit ton of trainers.
Yeah.
And most of the ones they design, which are like...
Is this because you want lots of trainers?
I don't even have that many trainers, but they have some really like cool designs that I think would... Being the muse would open you up to like this whole other world.
Yeah.
Footwear. It has to be like Christian Louboutin, because you know how Dita Von Teese is like best friends with Christian. She has like this wardrobe full of his shoes and he makes the shoes for her tours and stuff. He makes like custom made shoes for her.
That's got to be the ultimate blessing, right? When someone does your tour outfits or something like that. Yeah.
Bedazzled everything. Yeah. So there you go.
There you go. So yeah, who would you like to be a muse for?
Who?
Like which brand?
No. Oh, that's a poll. Yeah, sorry. I thought that was another question. Well, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Style Over Substance, guys.
Don't forget to check out our Instagram or Spotify to respond to this week's poll.
Bye.